is bounce back, and what does it mean to you?
Bouncing back is kind of the process of you getting out of a dark spot in your life and just coming back with power and also just making your life a little bit better.
With bouncing back, with the viewer and the listener, we really want you guys to understand that in tough situations in life, and when life is beating you left and right, there's honestly more to life once you do bounce back. It's always, it can't, the one thing I love to always say is it can't rain forever. The sun has to come out, and you have to be able to be resilient and to be able to take on challenges in your life, because in life we're thrown so many different challenges. It's always going to be complicated. There's never been times in life where you're able to just be at your highs without falling. You're not able to be at your lows without gaining to increase in level. However, with bouncing back, I think we all have different stories and different experiences of what we've been through. So, Will, could you please describe a time where you bounced back and but you still had to have difficult times, right, in that moment?
Yeah, and it's actually pretty recent too, and it's a good one. So earlier last year, I tore a muscle in my knee, my meniscus, and that was tough. There was a little depression that followed with it, but it got better really quickly. Some hard times, but whatever. And then earlier this year, I tore the same muscle, and on top of that, I tore my ACL with it, which is even worse. And so for me, it was kind of falling off a cliff. Like all of a sudden, I was just at the deep end. It was a terrible experience. It was not fun to go through. And mentally getting through that is essentially what bouncing back is to me. And I'm still in the middle or the process of that bounce back to this day because it's such a long recovery. But that's kind of my story. I'm now went from rock bottom and now kind of in that slope back up mentally.
In that experience, while you were bouncing, so you're pretty much in a moment right now to bounce back.
Yeah, like I am in that process.
When you were spiraling, was there any point in time where you wanted to give up and not push through?
I wouldn't even call it like spiraling. It's more of like, and that it can be spiraling. For me, it was just straight down. Like I just went right down to the bottom, and it was just a hard time to where there were times where I considered like not only just like, "Oh, should I give up?" but like, why is this happening to me? Just the amount of negative thoughts overtook the positives, and that's why it was such a hard experience. And it makes it even harder when those negatives outweigh the positives to essentially create that bounce back.
And in season two, we kind of describe the motion of that. Negative emotions are actually much stronger than positive emotions, unfortunately, in the world that we live in. But when you're overwhelmed with positive emotions, they beat negative emotions out. Brandon, was there any time that you had to bounce back in a situation where you believe that maybe you were spiraling, or it got to a point where the negative emotions were really beating the positive emotions and you felt like you were almost right off the cliff?
Yeah. This was back in college. So usually with me, I'm a more of an active person. I was in college, and usually my favorite thing to do was play basketball at the rec center. I went to college, SIU, if anyone knows about that. But basically, um, I was probably 18, 19 at the time when I first got there. And at first, I started experiencing pain in both my knees. And usually, I don't ever experience pain like that before or just anywhere on my body. Like I always keep myself in check or always take care of myself, basically. But as the months were going on, I noticed little by little that my knees were just hurting. Like there were even days where I would wake up and like I didn't even want to go to class. I just sitting there because I was having just immense pains and just driving at my knees. I'm just like, what is wrong with me? Like, what the hell's going on, basically? So I eventually went to go get myself checked out, and basically what they told me is that like my knees were going bad, and that kind of scared me because usually like I always told myself, and I know this is kind of bad to think, but like I always thought like I was invincible, things like that. But then nobody's invincible. Things can happen to you any moment in time. So then I had to figure out ways of, how can I help my niece because it stopped me from playing basketball for a while. I would not go. And even like when I try to force myself to go because I just miss playing the nature of that game, I still had to basically sideline myself because I just couldn't go through it, even though I told myself to push through. But basically, I'm not helping myself. I'm just damaging myself by just continuing to push through. So it just kind of put me in a downward spiral because like I wanted to get better. I want to get back out on the court to be able to do what I love to do. And that also helped me out with my mental health as well. Cause like whenever we going through bad times, that was basically my escape or my route to get away from all that was just locking myself in the gym, hooping with the guys and just having fun.